Welcome everybody to our regular city council meeting. We've got a very special day today. We not only have an important city council meeting, but we also have some recognitions and a couple of exciting things going on within the city in the next week or two, and like to invite you all to attend and be part of it. I'd like to have John Meeks, if he will, come forward. I'm going to tell you, John is from my alma mater, Theodore Roosevelt High School. Did you know I went to Theodore Roosevelt High School? All right. So he happens to be an outstanding wrestler. I had the opportunity when I went to Iowa State. One of my good friends up there was Dan Gable, who had a fabulous career not only in high school but in college. But Dan was 191-1. Now we have a young man standing right next to me that is 168-0. He hasn't lost a match. Now I'm going to quickly read this, and I know he doesn't like a lot of recognition, but I think that he's well deserving. And 4 state championships during his career. Do you know where you're going to go? He's Iowa State. He's going to be a side player. So this is a certificate of special recognition to John Meeks. Congratulations on being a 4-time state wrestling champion that finished his high school career with a 168-0 record. Mr. Meeks is the 21st Iowan to win 4 state individual titles. He is only the 6th Iowan to finish his high school career undefeated and the first African-American wrestler in Iowa to achieve this success. You have set an example that will be difficult to follow. We wish you continued success with your wrestling career at Iowa State University and any future endeavors that you may undertake. On behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Des Moines, Iowa, we extend our congratulations on your achievement, and I have signed this and wish you best of luck in all your future endeavors. Congratulations. All right. Thank you. Now, John, are these members of your family here?
This is, they go to my church and this is boys.
Okay, you want all 3 of us, all 4 of us to be up here? Let's get his dad, let's get everybody up here, whoever's here.
Yeah, you can get it.
Come on, guys. Everybody up here.
Hey, Keith, hand me your camera.
Anybody you want. John wants, who else? Over here?
I'll get a picture of the wall.
Get it? All right. John, I'll tell you, he said when he was up there, he says a little embarrassing for this. I got to tell you, I hope, John, that 4 years from now, when you finish at Iowa State, he's got another 168-0 record, and I'll stand with you, and we'll be equally embarrassed. All right, thanks. All right. Another proclamation. Whereas May 12th marks the 10th anniversary of the first Bike to Work Day in Des Moines. Are there people here to represent Bike to Work here today? All right. If there are, we'd like them to come forward. But whereas bicycling is a great way to interact with others, and whereas bicycling promotes physical and mental well-being, and whereas bicycling reduces traffic congestion, carbon footprint, and our impact on the environment, and Ben Page is stepping up to help us do all of that. And whereas bicycling boosts the economy, And whereas Central Iowa Bike Month, as led by the Des Moines Bicycle Collective, educates, organizes, advocates, and promotes bicycling as an important part of daily transportation and personal enjoyment. And whereas the City of Des Moines is proud to be recognized and in Central Iowa as Bike Month. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor of the City of Des Moines, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of the City of Des Moines, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2012 as Central Iowa Bike Month and call upon the citizens of Des Moines to recognize and participate in observance of our special month. So, Ben, you're in charge of the trail. And by the way, let's congratulate Ben. He's been appointed as our acting, as of 1st of June, right? Parks Director. So let's give Ben a great big hand also. That's sort of a prelude. We'll do some other things as time goes on.
Thank you.
All right. Our next proclamation and last one for today is whereas Des Moines strives to maintain a comfortable, efficient, and reliable, healthy economy, sound, and environmentally sustainable transportation network for its citizens and guests. And whereas passenger trains offer a great opportunity for Des Moines to expand the connections of Iowa's urban and rural areas to Chicago and beyond while making significant contributions to improve mobility, economic competitiveness, community revitalization, and reduce fuel use and emissions, which helps make our community and the world a more enjoyable place to live, work, and visit. And whereas passenger trains to and from our city can connect Iowans to each other and the country, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and make Iowa and Des Moines a more attractive place. And whereas the promotion and advancement of our passenger rail network, especially a line through Des Moines, for the benefit of citizenry today and future generations, depends on the City of Des Moines. Now, therefore, I, the Mayor, on behalf of our City Council and our citizens, do proclaim Saturday, May 12th, as Train Day and urge the citizens of Des Moines to celebrate Train Day in Des Moines and to support efforts to bring passenger rail to the City of Des Moines. So let's all get out and try to support it. Thank you. All right, we were going to start our City Council meeting 5 minutes ago, so we better get going. All right, prior to the start of our City Council meeting, it is May 7th, and we are going to sit first as the Municipal Housing Agency Governing Board, and I'll ask the clerk to take roll.
COWNIE.
Here.
Moore. Here. Grease. Here. Mahaffey. Here. Hensley.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, item 2 on our agenda is approving the modified professional services agreement with Smith Metzger to conduct structural and mechanical evaluation of the Consolidated Materials Company building at 600 Holcomb Avenue, Board Communication number 12-199. Anybody here to speak on that request to approve? All right, seeing none. It's been moved. Any discussion by the board?
I can recall back when the big floods we had, that was half full of water, so it really does need to be looked at to make sure that it is structurally sound.
Right. All right, we've got a motion. Anything else? Seeing none, let's vote. Mr. Coleman?
I'm sorry.
7 yes.
All right, that being the only action item on our agenda, our last motion is a motion to adjourn. It's been moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. we have done our special presentations and proclamations prior to our start of the official city council meeting. We're going to have a quick word from our own council member, Christopher Coleman. And those that would participate with us, we'd ask you that you stand at this time.
As we begin tonight's council meeting, let us take a second in appreciation for the beauty of our city, our parks, the river, our streets and medians, the boulevards, the school grounds, all that makes our community a wonderful place. And more importantly, let's take a second to thank God for all the blessings, and especially the blessings of the people that work each day for the city to make this a better place. Thank you.
All right, I'll ask the clerk to take roll, please.
County,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Grease, Mahaffey,
Here.
Hensley, Meyer.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Item 2 is approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended.
Move.
It's been moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Item 3 is approving the consent agenda. Tonight, those are items 3 through 46. These are routine items, and they are generally enacted as one roll call vote unless either a member of the council up here or a member of the audience pulls one for separate discussion or clarification. Again, those are items 3 through 46 tonight. I will note that on item 5, council members COWNIE and Moore vote no. Item 6B, Councilmember Moore wishes to speak. Item 42, Councilmember Grease votes no. And item 44, Councilmember Moore wishes to speak. Are there any other items to be pulled for additional clarification or discussion? Anyone in the audience? Seeing none, could we have a motion for the balance, please?
Move.
It's been moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. That takes us to item number 5, which we, Mr. Moore and I voted no. Item 6B is ordering the construction of the following. B is the John Pat Dorian Trail renovation, receiving the bids May 22nd, and setting the date of hearing for June 11th of 2012. Construction estimate $540,000. Council Communication number 12-213. Mr. Moore.
Well, I'm going to object to the title of this. Some people think it's a renovation. I think it's a relocation. It does need to be replaced, what's there, but the replacement, if it was left in the location it's currently in, would be nowhere near $540,000. My feeling is at the least the Botanical Center should be splitting the cost on this, and I'm going to vote no on this one.
When it comes up?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and move item 6B for approval.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I
And
would
that's-
also ask, Mr. Mayor, I know that this is part of the Botanical Center agreement that we have, and we as a city have the opportunity to appoint somebody, and I think it's in Mr. Mahaffey's ward.
It is.
So if we could look at that in the near future or do it tonight.
Yep. Well, is it supposed to be a council member? Let's clarify that, and then maybe the next meeting we can let's
I
do it.
think it is, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I was
That was
thinking,
what I was thinking too.
yeah. Let's look at that, Mr. Manager, if you could bring that back, and we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
I will do that.
And what we're doing this evening is setting the date of hearing and the date to receive the bids. And with the note Mr. Moore had with his concerns.
Okay.
6 yes, 1 no.
Item 44. Item 44 is the Civil Service entrance list for Fleet Services Master Mechanic Team Leader, Administrative Analyst, WRF Accounting and Inventory Coordinator, Survey Supervisor, and a Neighborhood Inspector. Item's been pulled for discussion. Mr. Moore.
Well, my particular concern on this is survey supervisor. We have a list of one, and I specifically recall in years past when we would have lists of one that were promotional, they'd say you couldn't have a list of one, and they would reopen them to entrance. And I did speak with James. I don't think that's been the policy for a few years, but it still bothers me. I would like to have an assurance that it's going to be one way or the other in the future. I hope we're not creating a moving target on this.
You looking for a comment or?
Yeah, I'd like an insurance on this. It's
Mr. Moore, Counsel, if I could have James address this, it'd be helpful. If I understand your concern, Mr. Moore, it is that there was simply one name on the list, and that's concerning to you. Is that's your point?
Yeah, we'd been told years ago that you couldn't have a list of one, and then they would open it up and make it entrance due to that. And evidently, there's been a policy change, and I would just like an assurance that it's going to stay one way or the other. I don't think it's proper to have a list of one myself, but if that's policy, that's policy.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, James Wells, Human Resources Director. In this, with civil service, this isn't a policy issue. This is actually statute. The Chapter 400 Code of Iowa does not set a minimum number of candidates for a certified list. It does set a maximum. Survey supervisor is a promotional list, which means only current civil service employees can apply. In this particular case, there is only one current civil service employee who is qualified. That's the reason there is only one candidate, and that is under Code of Iowa acceptable list.
Thank you. I'll move 44.
That completes the consent agenda, and it takes us now to item 47, which is the ordinance regarding insurance requirements and indemnification. Council Communication number 12-200A is amending Chapter 102 of the Municipal Code regarding farmers and public market permits and street use permits. One under that is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the Finance Director and requires 6 votes. B is amending Chapter 46 of the Municipal Code regarding the display of fireworks and pyrotechnic special effects materials. One is the final consideration of the ordinance above, and the waiver again is requested by the Finance Director and the Fire Chief and requires 6 votes. Is there anyone here to either make a statement or discuss either 47A or B?
Seeing none, I'll move 47A and B.
Six yes.
Next item is item 48. It's amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code, submitting traffic regulation changes as follows. Council Communication number 12-211. A, parking restrictions north side of Hull Avenue between East 14th and East 15th Street. B, garbage day parking restriction removal on the east side of 31st Street from and including the cul-de-sac south of Carpenter on Fridays. And C is requested changes to update the ordinance to match current field conditions. Is there anyone in the audience to discuss 48A, B, or C?
Seeing none, I'd move 48, A, B, and C.
Six yes.
All right, item 49 is from the mayor to discuss a proposed closure of the Capitol Square Post Office. A lot of us have received a lot of concern, and I know that the council itself has had a lot of concern about the closure of the post office in Capitol Square. And I think that it deserves another effort on the part of as many people as we possibly can to try to intervene on this issue and see if we can't keep that open. There's a lot of downtown residents, either in senior housing buildings or handicapped folks, that this is the easiest post office for them to access, and I think it's used quite a bit. Every time that I've gone in there, at least it seems like there's folks in there using it for various purposes, including downtown businesses. So is there anyone either on the council or in the audience who would like to either make a statement or discuss it any further? Seeing none, anybody on the council, any thoughts?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Hensley?
I know that there's a group of individuals that are working very hard on this, but it clearly is a real significant issue. They have not gone through the public process that they typically would do. I've seen documents where they've gone through and requested all of the information. And there have been a lot of closures in the downtown area. If you stop and think about the post office up on Grand Avenue that closed, this is the only remaining post office in the downtown area. And I know that Senator Grassley and other congressional delegation have been working hard on this to try and keep it open. But anything that we could do with the majority of us going to Washington, D.C. this week, I think we should also put it on the list of items to be discussed. And I would include the Highland Park post office as well, because I know that's a significant issue for all the same reasons.
Could I ask that you, I think it's already a done deal, but to include the East Village one, because that was a very popular one as well. And I know they've already moved out, I think, but it'd be nice to get a commitment to something down there. I mean, you can't have all of those move out.
Right. I think that, good point, Brian. I think that one of the reasons why the Capitol Square one has received so much attention is it does have access from the skywalks and also elevators from those using the skywalks. I know a lot of the seniors in the downtown area, especially in inclement weather, use those skywalks extensively, and without this post office, I'm not sure where they would go. And unfortunately, a couple of those others, which I know are fairly well used as well in the downtown area, aren't connected to the skywalk or any other quick transportation, although sidewalks are available to them. I think that certainly we ought to make the effort to at least ask the question. Brian, unfortunately, I agree with you. I think it looks like the train is moving down the track, and they're probably going to do whatever it is to save dollars. But I think it's forgetting the needs of an awful lot of people that definitely use post office services that can otherwise at least make it available for their use. So certainly would like to consider that Capitol Square post office remaining open.
So I'll make a motion to receive and file the information and continue aggressively pursuing that remain open by all means necessary, working with the congressional delegation and senators and
Whoever else.
yeah.
Including Highland Park.
Highland Park and East Village.
Yep.
Seven yes.
All right, item 50 is from Councilmember Brian Meyer to speak regarding adding additional lighting in the city's gravel parking lot east of Mullets at 1300 Southeast First Street.
Thank you, Mayor. This was brought to my attention by the owners of Mullets, and they use that gravel parking lot there, which I didn't even know we owned until we looked into it. But they use the gravel parking lot as overflow parking for their patrons, and asked that we could look into installing some lights there, having Mid-America install some lights. And so I think we need to really look at that. Rick and I talked to you earlier about it, but I'll refer this to the city manager's office. In addition, I'd like to do an inventory of possibly some of the property we own down there. I think there's additional problems with I-Cups parking on the other side of the river, and everybody's sort of looking for ways to alleviate that as well. So maybe include looking at our inventory of property down on the south side there to see what we can do for the I-Cups as well. So I'll move 50 with those additions.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just comment, I think Mr. Meyer's right on target there, and you've got this opportunity, I think, to really kill two birds with one stone and help Mullets have better parking for their patrons and also maybe help the Cubs. The Cubs, I know, are desperate for parking, so I think your idea is right on point there, and we will follow up as you have directed.
Mr. Coleman?
7 yes.
All right, we've got some communications reports. This one, 51, from Sarah Schnucker-Rice and Chet Gwynn to speak regarding the Nowland Peace Plaza Garden. Mr. Gwynn.
Yeah, Chet Gwynn, 1041 8th Street. And Sarah was going to make this presentation. She's flying back from New York. I know she's on the ground, but she's not here. And I've never noticed to get on the agenda this fast. In fact, I thought I wouldn't have to be up here at all. But this is how it's worked out. I think you can recall the history of how we've been in dialogue about Nowland Plaza. And since we met last, why the trees are gone. And that area is now a clean slate. And we have an interest in that being developed. Oh, here she is, Sarah. Are you ready to?
You're supposed to stretch.
Okay, I could, I guess, but I want to hear her around me.
Sorry, it takes a longer while to get here now. There seems to be construction everywhere. So I'm Sarah Rice with the Des Moines Area Religious Council, and I'm sure that you all know that I'm speaking in favor of a request to the Civic Center to add the word peace to the plaza's name and to instruct the landscape architects that are working on that to consider adding peace in some way to the space as they design the space. And I really want to speak based on my own experience in two different kinds of ways. One is this sort of unique interfaith moment in the history of the Des Moines community, where Rabbi Goldberg and Bishop Dingman came together with other people and created this special interfaith opportunity that came out of who we are at our best, but also then sort of planted that, literally as well as metaphorically, in the core of the community's identity. And I think that's something worth saving, that interfaith effort, especially in a time when our faith traditions so often bring us to blows with each other.
Sarah, could you hang on 1 minute?
Sure.
I'd ask that everybody shut their phones off. We usually make that, but I think it's out of respect to the speakers and everyone else. So, Sarah, go ahead.
Sure. So that sort of central interfaith core, I think, is something really important for us to preserve. But even more important than that is to preserve what they wanted to honor and to create together, and that was a garden that was dedicated to peace. Everybody's now turning it off. And this is where I really want to speak from my heart about the need for us to remember as a community the importance of peace. And I know that at this point I'm going to be preaching to the choir, but I think that one of the things we're seeing right now in our country and in this community is a real absence of peace. We know that there are fellow citizens out there with us who are carrying guns and using guns against each other in ways that are horrifying and frightening and really speak to something else about the core of our identity, which is that it is not peaceful at this point. And in addition to that, because of the economy and because of all the things that so many of us are working on around housing and income and poverty, and the effects of all of that on the community, and the effects of all of that on all of you and all of us who are trying to serve this community, we are all exhausted. We are exhausted from this absence of peace that exists in this community, and we need to find a way to address that and to claim something that was claimed for us in the 1970s about who we are as a community, that at our core we are peaceful and loving and respectful of each other. And most importantly, we need to have a visible sign of that. We need places that are dedicated to remembering who we are and remembering how we want to be with each other. And that is a function that this space has served for this community for 40 years, for a long, long time. Somehow we need to be able to preserve that opportunity, that space that reminds us of who we are at our best. And I think by adding peace to this and encouraging the Civic Center to build something lovely that will claim that once again for us as a community, I think that will be something important for the city. And we're really urging you to urge the Civic Center to sort of hold that peace at the core of who we are.
I think quickly, I think a lot of us have had a discussion about it with not only your group, but also with the Civic Center. And I'm going to refer quickly to the manager, who I know has had some ongoing discussions with them about that whole process and what's going on, and when they're going to move forward with any of it, especially as Mr. Gwynn noted a minute ago, with a substantial change in the
landscape
of the area. So, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I think you'll recall this has been on the council's agenda before. Mr. Gwynn has been before us with the suggestion about using the word peace in the naming. And I think it's fair to say, at least my impression from the council's discussion previously, is that there's a good deal of support for that concept from the council. But I think there's also an acknowledgement that the Civic Center is in a very sensitive point right now in terms of their own fundraising. And I think we really need to be sensitive to their process and their opportunities before them to really generate a lot of private dollars that can go to pay for this particular improvement that is now in Plaza. So our discussions up until now have been to the point that perhaps the best course of action here would be for the council, if it so desires, would be to ask the Civic Center to give some consideration to this, let them kind of integrate that into their own decision process, and then perhaps at some point the Civic Center will provide back to this council their own recommendation in terms of what the naming ought to be, taking into account and being deferential to the suggestion about the Peace Park concept. Keep in mind one other really important thing about naming rights here, and that is that the decision about naming is a joint decision. The Civic Center Board and the City Council each have a voice there, and whatever decision is ultimately made about naming rights requires agreement between those two parties. So again, it seems to me, based on all the discussions we've had, that the proper way, the proper respect to show to this proposal is to refer it over to the Civic Center Board, let them deal with this as part of their ongoing and finalization of their fundraising effort, and then they can submit their thoughts back to the council on that point.
Brian?
Thanks, Mayor. I am respectful of our relationship and partnership with the Civic Center, but I do want to express for the record, when we go back to the Civic Center, I do fully support your efforts. I know you guys have worked hard on this, and just wanted to make sure you understood that I supported and want to convey that as well to the Civic Center. That's all I have.
Ellie or Skip or Bob? Good.
I've had numerous conversations with Chet on this, and I will give you my guarantee that if they come forward to name it, rename Nolan Plaza, if it's anything other than with peace in it, I don't see how I could vote for it. And I agree with what the city manager said, and we talked about this Saturday, Chet, is I think right now is not the time to call their hand on this. The naming rights stand with us and the Civic Center Commission, and I don't think you'd get both boards to agree on that at this time. But I would really encourage everybody to wait until the fundraising is completed. I think that's an appropriate time to start talking about naming the area. And Rick and I talked about it today, I do feel that at least the south end or some portion of it should be the Peace Plaza or the Peace Garden or something at that time. And I've got a packet to give you on this. Ken Smith has integrated your thoughts into part of this. I don't know exactly how yet, but I think you'll be pleased when this is over with.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Mayor, anyone speak from the floor now, or is that
Is there anybody else to speak on this? I think you've got a couple of minutes remaining, Chet.
Well, first a question. Does anyone on the council have any evidence that the Civic Center Board is interested in the Peace Garden? Remember, we came here 3.5 years ago offering to pay to redo the whole thing and understanding it'll all be torn up, but at least we'd have the use of the garden. And that wasn't acceptable. Right now, some paths could be put in. This could be some flower gardens put in. No longer are the trees shading the area. We could make that a beautiful place on a temporary basis. Is there any interest in the Civic Center Board or their administrators in the Peace Garden? Has anybody seen any interest like that? And
Chet, I think that
well,
the area that already has been designated, and we're not here probably for a debate,
but they're not interested in it.
but I think there's an understanding, and they worked with you, I think, to on the placement of the rock and the whatever. Now, I think that can continue, or at least we could have the discussion. Part of that's what we're looking forward, is A, what does that look like, and B, can that continue to be the Peace Garden such as it was since 1970, whatever. I don't know where we're going to get on the overall piece, but I know that at least I'm committed, as you've heard the majority of these other council members, or at least a number of them, I don't want to say the majority, say that we understand and support the peace concept for certainly part of that area, because it was there in the 70s.
Okay, all right. On the question of fundraising, why is having peace a liability? In the city of Des Moines, peace ought to be an asset. And we aren't suggesting that they can't name the park for somebody who gives a huge sum of money. They can name it. We just want it to be the Smith Peace Garden, or keep Nolan if we're going to keep respecting the original time. Why aren't they at least considering, we're not asking them to name it in a way that that hurts their fundraising. We've never been interested in hurting their fundraising. We want them to succeed. But I'd have to say that they have been totally unwilling to talk with us and to communicate and have I think, a civilized discussion. As citizens, we have to depend upon the council to represent us in this whole issue. I'd like to have an explanation from the legal department on exactly the verse in the text where his ruling comes from. I'm sure it's there, but I've read it many times and cannot find at any point where they have anything to say about the naming of the, but I'm perfectly willing that we don't want to get into that legal hassle. We think that we're perfectly, but as citizens, The city council is our strength. We need you to represent us. At least tell the Civic Center they need to call us in and talk with us and have some communication like civilized people. It hasn't happened.
Mayor, are there any other speakers?
Maybe they're questions for me. I don't know.
See nothing. Well, let's start it. Christine and then Skip.
You know, Chet, you have, as indicated, you've been here several times, and I respect that. You're very passionate about wanting this, and I don't think there's anybody that disagrees with where you're trying to get. We've had an opportunity, all of us individually, to sit down with representatives from the Civic Center Board. The city manager's been there. All of us have had that opportunity to do it. I know also that they've had a number of meetings with you. You've actually shown up at board, you know.
It has not happened.
Well, you know, I'm just telling you what we've been told. You have an opportunity, you can have an impact, but you have to also be sensitive, and I don't know how many more times we can say it, but you have to be sensitive to what they're trying to accomplish. And I think everybody's on the same page, and you will ultimately get there, but you need to be patient. You need to be patient and allow them to get done what they need to get done. And there was one other comment that was made here, talking about preserving space that can be dedicated for peace. I don't disagree with that. I think that by you focusing so much on Nolan Plaza, that you are looking past an opportunity as to other places in the city. I mean, we've had those discussions. Where are some other places in the city? But we're just really focused on this. I think the key word here, Chet, is patience. And you will get there, but you're
3 years.
becoming well, I can tell you some other projects that we've discussed tonight that have been much longer than 3 years.
Maybe my impatience is because I'm going to turn 84 this summer. I don't have a whole lot of time to see some of these things happen. I'm one of the last persons around who worked with Bishop Dingman and Rabbi Jay Goldberg on this project. And as for other sites, you give me an opportunity to say that this Thursday, the sculpture is to be put in place on I-235, and that is the sculpture we had hoped to put in Nolan Plaza. It was commissioned for that, but the Civic Center would not consider it. And so we found another place for it. We do have other things going for us, but I don't think you are looking at it from a standpoint of people who are getting all these signals and signs back, which are not very hopeful for us. Now, maybe it'll all have a happy ending, but...
Okay, Chet, I think Skip had something to say over here.
Chet, you know, I really applaud your tenacity on this. Your tenacity, I applaud that. When Christine's talking about patience and you're pointing out 3 years, the first time you brought this in front of the council, I wasn't on the council yet, and I got up there and spoke about how Parks and Rec had come to me as the municipal arborist in 1999 to get something done there. So I've had to have great patience myself. At this point, you know, you're asking, are they showing any interest in the name piece? Well, what's important is they have not shown any disinterest in it. When we talk, they talk fundraising. I'm sure there's other people that have talked about, well, if I give you money, I want my name on it, and they're saying no to that. It will not change without approval of this council, period. And I agree with Christine on this. Be patient. Let's let them get their fundraising done. We want to see that done. We want to see we want to see the project through. And once the fundraising's done, that's when we need to start talking about, is it going to be renamed, and if so, what? In my opinion, the South End has always been the Peace Garden. I think we need that there. You know, you've got that vote on the council at this point.
Okay. Well, it gives me a reason to stay alive, doesn't it?
I'll move.
And get up every day.
Receive and file the information.
7 yes.
Let's note that the hearings are now going to start at 5:12. Our first item on the hearing agenda is an appeal from Shirley Harper of 1151 Ascension Street of the Administrative Hearing Officer's decision regarding her dog. Is Shirley in the audience?
I even brought some pictures of to see my dog tonight.
You can, Mr. Coleman is our official
Okay.
AV specialist.
AV specialist.
Hi.
He even gave himself a title tonight. That's good.
That's my master smoker.
See it up there? There you go. They can see pretty good on their screens, too.
Okay.
One.
It's about that dog right here. Look.
You want me to put this dog back up?
Yeah.
All right. Then I'll
But I
pass.
went, yeah.
I'll pass these down for everybody to see.
Okay. And that's how I got my master, by that dog lady. And I was the third owner to that dog.
It's your chance, I think, to make your case.
I'm making my case that my dog, my master's not vicious. And my dog got provoked because of my cousin Chantel. My Aunt Barbara asked me to tell Chantel to turn down the music, and she got cute with me, and then she tried to hit me with a bottle. So my dog was protecting me. Chantel Lewis. And that is my first cousin. And they asked my dog to come over to the yard because everybody liked my dog, and they wanted to see my dog because I keep my dog clean and I walk my dog. And I love my dog, and my dog's not vicious. And then the other girl, Carla Cooley, lives down the street from me. Her mom just passed away, and I happened to be going down the street to ask her about her mom. And my screen door didn't shut all the way. But Carla already fell backwards. She panicked and fell back and hit her head in somebody's driveway. But my dog never knocked Carla down, which I tried to get Chantel and plus Carla to write a statement to the council stating that Chantel provoked my dog and Carla fell on her own because she panicked. And as far as Jairo, my dog was just out with Jennifer's dog, which my master became a therapist for her dog because her dog needs 2 hip replacements. And my dog got her dog to run better than what it was. So after they got done playing, I was putting my dog on the latch, and Jennifer went to go help my sister Lisa bring in the groceries. And her dog went over to my mom's yard, which she lives across the street from where I live. So my master decided to run across the street. And they had bark. He was barking, so I agreed that I did see my dog attack Jairo, my sister's dog. I agreed to only that one. The girl, March the 15th, she came on the street all the way from Oak Ridge to start a fight on the street, across the street from my mom, the west side of her house. And I kept on telling them to take her to the park. My dog's been laying outside, knows everybody that comes on the block, which the street does get packed. My dog knows everybody. But it was just like it was getting ready to start a riot outside. And I heard my master barking, so I went outside. And I kept on telling the people, take that stuff to the park. We don't need that. And I said, my dog's going to get loose. And I wasn't going to let my dog loose to take in the house because he's already riled up. So when I came off my property, going down, but tell them to take that to the park, Joanne's Cheetahs Park, which is just down the street, half a block, not even half a block, a third of a block. And as soon as I got close to the corner, my master then took his latch off his collar, but he didn't touch nobody. She ran and flipped over the curb and cut her leg. My dog didn't bite her or nothing. And she already said that to me. She didn't feel a dog biting her, but I know this guy that I seen him somewhere. He said he know the people, you know, they're friends of him. She said my dog didn't bite her, but my dog's not vicious. And I love my dog, you know, and I was the third owner to his mother. And she got put to sleep lady by playing Save a God to Carla's dog that was frozen to death January the 5th, 2010. That's when they threw that dog away in Grimes in the kennel. And they audit the date because that's the day they took Lady and put Lady to sleep the next day, and I was upset about that. That's what them pictures are about. And it wasn't 48 hours for Lady. And Lady heard another dog, a Rottweiler, over by the park, was howling, and she relaxed her collar, which was a choke chain, and got out of the collar and sniffed her way all the way down to Carla Cooley's house. And Lady wouldn't come home till she got that dog unloosed. And they wonder how that dog got there, because Lady made sure it brought that dog to safety to my house.
Okay. I'd like to have Sergeant Rodabaugh come up, if you would, and kind of go over the testimony and summarize what at the hearing took place, and then give the council some time to discuss the issue.
I got other people to talk for me just as well and know what happened.
Okay, but we'll get the case as it was presented at the hearing. And then also, quickly, I'll ask the city attorney, in terms of the appeal on the declaration, are we allowed at this time to get new testimony or anything else, or are we just going on the facts that were presented and any testimony that you would give?
Can I say one more thing?
Wait a minute.
It's largely based on the testimony. Council's not permitted to take any other evidence regarding what happened. The parties are allowed to explain and provide argument to the council. However, there is a little bit difference in this particular section that allows the council to take in any additional information that it deems necessary as opposed to evidence. So testimony from other people about the circumstances and what happened would probably not be appropriate if they want to provide some other information that has been newly discovered, for example. That is information that could be provided to the council in this type of hearing.
Okay. Sergeant.
Sergeant Rodabaugh with the Police Department. I'd like to provide just kind of a summary of why we're here. On July 17th, 2010, Shirley Harper's dog named Man Master was at a residence, and as she mentioned, it bit someone while I was at her house. It had the appearance that there was a party at the house, and maybe the dog was excited. I don't know. It wasn't declared vicious at that time. On July 22nd, 2010, once again, the same dog ran out the front door of Ms. Harper's residence and ran towards a woman, and she fell down and hit her head and suffered a concussion, is what I understand. On July 25th, 2011, the same dog ran off Ms. Harper's property and attacked a neighbor's dog, causing injury to that dog. On March 15th, 2012, that same dog ran off the property and ran to the nearby intersection and attacked and bit a juvenile that was in the intersection. There's been some allegations. Tonight the allegations were that the juvenile fell off the curb or something to that effect. In the hearing it was alleged that she cut her leg on a bumper. Every indication is to me that the dog bit the child in the leg and caused injury. The decision to declare a dog vicious is not taken lightly. In this case, Senior Police Officer Mark Stumpfig was filling in for me, and he reviewed the information and made that decision, and I agree. We not only have to make Miss Harper be a responsible dog owner, but also look out for her neighbors or anybody visiting her neighborhood or other dogs in the area. And like I say, the decision to declare a dog vicious is not taken lightly. She can reclaim her dog. It would just require special confinement, special leashing, and proof of liability insurance.
Okay.
Officer, do we by chance have photos of the juvenile who was bitten?
The last one, since there's a disagreement on, because I thought I read someplace there were actually puncture marks.
I do not have photographs with me. They were submitted into the hearing, and the hearing officer looked at the actual color photographs and made a determination to uphold the declaration.
There are sort of copies that were in the packet. I can provide mine that are black and white, a little bit difficult to see, I understand, but.
Did the wounds that were on the juvenile consistent with a dog bite?
Yes.
Okay.
It was entered into the hearing. I'm not trying to enter new evidence. It was entered into the hearing that the juvenile suffered it because of a bumper, cut on a bumper. I had an animal control officer to make sure we were dealing with the truth. Go back out and speak with the parent of the child and verified there was, in fact, a dog bite. She didn't cut her leg on a bumper, is what I'm told.
Okay. So this falling off the curb probably is not consistent with a
I don't believe so. I think
kind
it's
of injury as well. Okay.
a new version.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Hallie had one. Ms. Hensley?
I would just be curious, I guess, based upon the history that we have before us with the incidents and the fact that if we did declare it a vicious dog tonight, do we believe that they would have the ability to meet the requirements? I guess I'm concerned by that just because of the history there.
Certainly, one of the possibilities is that she could keep it secured in her house. And if she takes a great deal of initiative, she could do that. She could keep it secured in the house. She's going to have to work on her door or take the steps to make sure the door is latched.
So assuming that if we did declare it vicious tonight and there was any issue, it got out, would that just automatically, we would take it as, you would take it back and it would have to be destroyed? Is that what we're saying, or?
Certainly, if there was another bite, it would be impounded for quarantine. After that, the review of the circumstances of another bite, if hopefully there isn't one, the potential is it would be declared dangerous and then be euthanized.
Thank you.
All right, so the question was, can anybody else speak? I think that if somebody has some input, new information that needs to be, presented at the moment, we would invite anybody that has, okay.
I thought we didn't take new information.
Well,
This one's a little different. The code actually provides that you can take new information that wasn't available at the time of the hearing or other information that the council deems necessary. So most of the time in most of the hearings, council's not able to take additional information. And again, if any of these people are going to regurgitate what they said at a hearing or information that was presented at the hearing, that's inappropriate. That should not be provided.
So it's only new information right now?
Excuse me. I wasn't at the hearing. She was at work, that's why. But she would have been here. But one, they didn't restrain my dog when they came after my dog or put anything on my dog. My dog's not vicious at all.
okay, and I think we got your position on that. Is there anyone else that wants to testify here? And so step forward, please.
And I don't mean to sound redundant and repeat anything that anyone else has said, but Shirley is my...
Your name and...
If you give us your name and address, please.
1156 Ascension Street. I live across the street from Shirley. My mom lives across the street. I live with my mom. And I'm a witness to the life of Man Master. I see him daily, and Man Master will be on his leash outside Shirley's house, laying calmly. Jaru, like she said, is not a vicious dog. The time that Carla Cooley, she told me, because I got upset with her and asked her why she called the dog Pound on Shirley's dog. And she said, I just got scared, Marta, because it was running towards me. And I took a few steps backwards and I tripped over the curb. Well, did Man Master jump on you or do anything? She told me no, he did not. Carla says she's scared of dogs, but Carla has 3 dogs of her own. I don't get that. But then the issue between Jaru and Man Master. Jaru, who lives at 1156 Ascension, which is our dog, my sister's dog rather, not mine. I think the thing about that call to the dog pound or to animal rescue is because those two fight a lot. Not the 2 dogs, my sisters. And I think just to be nasty and mean to Shirley, that's why she called, because they weren't getting along at the time. And Jaru and Man Master play every day together. So
Jaru is the poodle?
Yes.
So Man Master has a tendency...
Yeah, that's his cousin, Jaru.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay, so there was testimony earlier that occasionally he might get riled up.
Well, I think all dogs get riled up when they are
and he's unable to control.
Pardon me?
And unable to control.
No, he is a controllable dog. You can't control Man Master.
Oh, well, there was testimony to...
Well, there might have been from someone, but I wouldn't testify to that.
Well, I'm... Yeah, please.
Would you be surprised to know that Ms. Harper, in fact, testified at her hearing that she was not able to control the dog?
I wasn't at that hearing. I cannot be surprised at anything that happened at that time because I don't know why it was said, what circumstances was said.
So in other words...
Yeah. So I can't respond to that. I can't even comment on that because I don't know what state of mind or emotion she was in when she said that. Because she does get emotional.
Okay.
And she doesn't tend to, relay her messages in, I would say, a way that would not show her emotions, but, to get her point across.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion, I think, based upon the letter we have and the information.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Please.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Henley Daniels. I live at 1149 Ascension, right next door from Ms. Harper. I agree with everything Shirley said. The dog is not uncontrollable. My husband has multiple sclerosis. The dog's an asset to the community. I was there on both occasions. Ms. Harper and myself and Ms. Cooley. Ms. Cooley the dog didn't even come near Ms. Cooley. I have a German Shepherd. She's totally afraid of any kind of big animal. And when she was across the street, she panicked and she fell. She's a pretty big woman and she slipped and she fell and she hit her head. I was there the whole time. And the incident with the party, the dog was walking around, he was fine, and someone had provoked Ms. Harper, and the dog did what he was supposed to do. But he is not a vicious dog. I have had no problems with the dog.
What was he supposed to do?
Well, if you have a dog and someone is threatening you and someone is trying to hit you, what would the dog do? The dog jumped up.
Okay.
He's not ever uncontrollable. I've had German Shepherds all my life, and I had to put down one because he was a vicious dog. I know what a vicious dog is, and this one is not a vicious dog.
I think that we, probably should ask Mrs. Harper, but she's quoted as saying, "I couldn't take my dog in because he was already riled up. He would have gotten away from me because he is strong."
Shirley probably weighs it.
Okay, I'm just asking you, we can.
Are you asking me
Mr.
or
Mayor,
Ms.
if I
Please.
could jump in, and I appreciate you guys coming down. We understand that this is a family pet, an animal that you guys really care about. And all three speakers have said this is not a vicious dog, but all the evidence that we have suggests that it is vicious. It's got three and a half, 4 incidents that occurred within 2 years, including attacking a 14-year-old girl, along with a small dog. Everything we have indicates that this is, in fact, a vicious dog. And at this point, we're not even recommending that the animal be euthanized. We're just taking additional precautions to prevent this from occurring in the future. So I have no problem making a motion to uphold the administrative hearing officer's decision, and that would be my motion.
And I agree with that. And I would just like to point out that the owner is required to confine the dog as described in the Des Moines City Code, remove it from the city, or have it destroyed. So you've got the option of confining it to your property here. And, I think that this, based upon, I agree with Hallie's comments, Councilmember Grease's comments, it clearly meets the definition.
And Ms. Harper, if I could add on to that, I'm very concerned that this creates a problem in the future, and I would be angry if this happens again. And quite frankly, if another incident occurs, I would have no problem making a motion to have the dog declared dangerous.
And usually with this number of incidents, this dog probably would have already been declared that category. The thing that does cause me a little pause here, in additional concern, as Hallie's pointed out, is I would be devastated if this turned around and another bite happened. Because if this happens, or quite frankly, if the dog was then removed and taken to another jurisdiction, and it happens out there, it's like we're taking it. I think we've got a motion on the table. So at any rate, what we're giving is some strong direction that we are hopeful that this dog never bites another person, because we're going to be really concerned. I'm concerned today about it. I understand you love the dog. Everybody loves the dog, likes the dog. But I think that we're really concerned about the future, whether there's a neighbor or whatever, that it would get riled up and break away and bite or severely maul another person. So I'm going to support the motion over here as well.
6 yes.
Okay. The dog has not been further declared dangerous. We did declare it vicious. So if you would like, Sergeant Rodenbach could give you what needs to happen now. If you'd like to discuss with him the procedures from this point. Item 53 on the proposed amendment to the second 2011 year action plan of the 2010-14 U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD Consolidated Plan. Is there anybody here to discuss this item? Seeing none, could we have a motion?
Move.
Seven yes.
Item 54, dismissing the public hearing regarding the renewal of the parking lease agreement with Nelson Development LLC for 418 East Grand Avenue. Anyone here to speak on that item?
Move.
Item's been moved.
Seven yes.
Item 55, on the conveyance of underground gas line easement on city-owned property at the Blank Park Zoo to Mid-American Energy Company for $1. Anyone here to discuss this item?
Move.
Item's been moved. Mr. Coleman.
Seven yes.
Item 56, on the conveyance by an installment contract of vacated east-west and north-south alley right-of-ways adjoining 319 Southwest 5th Street to Create 319 LLP for $8,000. Council Communication number 12-219. Anyone here to discuss that item?
Move 59, or 56, excuse me, 56.
Seven yes.
All right, that completes the hearing items at 5:37. Item 57, receipt of a proposal from Joshua Christian Academy to purchase the Logan Community Center at 1740 East Garfield Avenue. Council Communication number 12-232. Is there anyone here to discuss this particular item? I will note, question? Or anybody want to speak? All right, we ask you to come up to the podium. Anybody that wants to speak on this item, we'd ask you to come forward.
Good afternoon.
So we got 3 speakers. Anybody else? All right, thank you, sir. Give us your name and address.
My name is Odell Jenkins. I live at 1340 East 15th Street, Des Moines, Iowa. I'm here to speak on the Logan School, which I have been in touch with some of the city managers. I think I spoke to the mayor about it, about reopening that school and putting back a plan that would include our children on the east side. On Wednesdays, every Wednesday, those kids get out of school early. They have nothing to do but just go around in the streets and get in trouble. We have nothing on the east side. I've been working on this ever since the Boys and Girls Club had that, even before they let you know that they wasn't going to have it anymore. Like I said, I've had people backing in order to get the place, but somehow or another look like I'm being kept in the dark. That's the way I feel. I'm being kept in the dark about the situation that's happening with me and that school, getting that school going back so we could have projects there for those kids. The one time you had a meeting, I called a meeting one time and talked with several people about it. They was all in compliance with helping it. I don't have anything against anyone or anybody. I am looking out for children who has nothing to do while their parents are trying to work. I asked for a figure that would let me know how much the cost for the place, how much the city would have to put into it. Today was a week ago. I just got that cost. And I've been working on that before the Boys and Girls Club made their final decision that there was no longer interested in that place. When Boys and Girls Club was there, we had all kinds of programs to help kids, tutoring, everything. I had 2 baseball teams, traveling baseball teams, and we were in an 8-state regional. When they got rid of the prior lady was there, I won't call no name, they put 2 guys in there, and everything that we had going plummeted, went down. I read the article that the Boys and Girls put in the paper about the reason that they were closing was because of the decline in kids. It's not true. I worked right across the hall from it. I was running a senior citizen, a Congress meal site right across the hall. I done a lot of volunteer work for Boys and Girls Club. That is not the reason that they closed. When those 2 guys got in there, everything plummeted. When they come up with Lifeline, I heard about that after I had gone out of town. They asked for some papers that Friday. I was out of town. When I get back in town, I find the letter and I read the letter. When I found out that they went belly up, I went to the director, Park and Recs, and told them that I was still interested in getting Logan School to put back the programs that we had in there for the kids. Now, on the letter that I read that I got Friday, I got the numbers on Monday, I got the letter from the city on Friday telling me about the increase that Joshua Academy School has. It started out 50, I think the letter said now they're up to 71. Well, that's more than 71 kids. And just like I told the guy, I have nothing against that school. But to me, as I read the letter, that's a private entity. We got the whole east side. There's 1,290 families live right in the Martin Luther King area. There are 1,290 kids in that same area. I wanted to get the place, put it back where the kids have some place to go. We had tutoring and all. But then each time that I'm a day late and $1 short, when it comes to my getting the information deciphered out to me like other people. I think on one letter they wrote,
I need to have you, Odell, kind of.
okay, everybody that wanted to get into that building, they would send them to me like I was in charge. They did that, but when it comes to making up to, whether I was going to get it or not, somebody else always beat me out. And I think it's total bad. I think it's bad.
Odell, I think that maybe if you have a offer that you would want to put on the table, we are being asked here to receive a proposal at this hearing. I don't know if we're going to close anything today. I'm just telling you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to say this to you. I have met numerous times with city officials. They ought to already have one of my proposals as to what I wanted to do with that building.
Okay.
Is there a time limit? Is that what that little bell is?
Yes.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, good. I'm Chris Hurley, 454 Tyler Drive, Pleasant Hill, Iowa. I'm the president of the board of directors for the Joshua Christian Academy. Joshua Christian Academy was established in the fall of 2009. Our vision, I'm going to hand this out so you all have a copy. to each of the board members. Our vision is believing that all children are created and endowed by God with extraordinary potential to become outstanding kingdom citizens. The Joshua Christian Academy covenants with the families and churches of urban Des Moines to provide an excellent, affordable Christian education. We believe that economically disadvantaged children can perform at the highest level, and we will set high expectations for students and their families. With God's help, students will become family and community leaders, working for justice, economic opportunity, and racial harmony, unifying the body of Christ in this city and throughout the world. We started Maple Street Missionary Baptist Church in the fall of 2009, used a room at the Logan Center, started with 9 students. Our vision is that whether or not you would desire a Christian education should not depend on whether you can write a big check, but that you have a desire to see your children educated in the fear and instruction of the Lord. And so our ministry is specifically to students in the inner city that wouldn't maybe normally be able to afford a Christ-centered education. And so we started in the fall of 2009 with 9 students, K through 3, kind of a one-room schoolhouse. We were in the 2nd floor of the Logan Center that year. The Boys and Girls Club was there at the time. We had an outstanding relationship with them. Even the director of the Boys and Girls Club was a lady that bought all her kids Christmas presents. It was just a really good, really positive relationship. LIHEAP was on the top floor with us. We had many people that were going to get fuel assistance and come down and say, we just love hearing your kids singing in the hallways, and it brought a lot of memories back to people that were just there in the building. The DHS is also in the building, and they would comment on just having that positive presence in the building. The second year, the Boys and Girls Club left, and we decided that we would relocate to 3415 3rd Street, which is near 2nd and Euclid. And we're in the 2nd floor of the Faith Missionary Baptist Church. We grew to 25 students, K through 4, again, just serving the middle of the city there. And this year, we opened this last fall with 50 students, K through 5. And we are getting to where, I'm going to give you our fall newsletter that lists our students and the kindergarten class. Kindergarten class this last fall, we started the first year with 9 students. Last year, our kindergarten class had 9 students in it. And so we're at K through 5 now. And this past spring, we had a banquet, and Mr. Simon Estes was our keynote speaker, and he came. That's for the overhead if you got our latest newsletter. I just have one copy of that. And he came to our banquet, and we met at Grace Church, and it's just been a great partnership with him, and he is our latest member of our advisory board. Our board consists of Dr. Bob Stouffer, who's on the superintendent of Des Moines Christian Schools, Mr. Paul Danforth, Sister Alice Boyd, longtime public school teacher in Des Moines Public Schools, Mary Clark Calhoun, she is a longtime person who's been in that neighborhood, particular neighborhood. Reverend Keith A. Ratliff, who's our executive director, and he's here. He's served over 20 years as a pastor of the Maple Street Missionary Baptist Church, which is also right in that neighborhood. Cheryl Van Wielden, Jim Van Wielden, Trish McKinley, who's the wife of Senator Paul McKinley, and Sue Peterson, who's been involved in early ed. Our advisory board, Mr. Simon Estes, has agreed to join just recently, and Mr. Thomas Phillips, who's retired Pioneer executive and serves on the parole board currently. And so our proposal, we've gotten to where in Faith Missionary Baptist Church we've kind of outgrown that, and we could probably squeeze in there another year if we need to. We've gotten to the point where we need more space, and we'd looked at the Wallace building, which the Des Moines Public School has decided not to sell at this time because of their increasing preschool needs. And so when we were getting ready for the banquet, I had gone down to visit with Councilman Mahaffey and about AE maybe helping with our banquet, and he happened to mention in an ensuing phone conversation about possibility that the Logan Center either would be up for sale, or at least that's the south part of the building has been vacated with the possibility of the north section being vacated within a year. And so knowing that the Wallace building has been, I toured the Wallace building and it has not had anybody in it for 3 years, and you would not believe the devastation in that school. It's been ransacked and just torn to pieces to the point where it's almost not fixable. I would hate to see for that to happen to the Logan Center. I know that one side has been vacant now for a couple of years, but at least it's been continued to be heated and those kinds of things, which prevent a lot of deterioration. So that's why we're interested in this proposal and maybe working with the city manager about negotiating with possible sale.
Thank you.
I think I'm it. So, but he said there might be questions, so I don't.
Well, any questions for the speaker? Any other speakers? Reverend, do you want to speak?
Mayor and to the City Council members, my name is Reverend Keith A. Ratliff, Sr., pastor of the Maple Street Missionary Baptist Church here in Des Moines, Iowa, 1552 Maple Street, resident at 15610 Aurora Avenue, Urbandale, Iowa. I just want to piggyback on what our president of our board has stated in regards to the proposal for the Logan Center. We feel very, very strongly about young people, as I'm sure everyone does. We've been blessed to be in existence for 3 years. We feel very strong about family. We've heard a lot of positive things come out of Joshua Christian Academy. We are just one example of all the hard effort that many individuals are doing great work here in our city. We are not here to fight or disagree with anyone else that has a proposal. We are just coming as a group that has a proposal before the council. We have uniforms for our young people. We do not believe in sagging pants. We try to be as positive with our young people to make them the best citizens that they can be. And so we are excited. We feel very strong about wanting to be in a building so that parents don't have to say, well, where are you going to be a year from now? Where are you going to be 2 years from now? And so having the opportunity to come before you and to have a place that parents can say, look where they're at. When we were there the first year in 2009, we had a lot of individuals who came, we were up on the second floor, who would come up for other responsibilities that they were dealing with, whether it was DHS or something else on the second floor. When they heard those young people singing, when they saw what the young people were wearing, how mannerably they were, they made it a point to stop, talk to teachers, talk to us in the hallway, whatever it might be, and say they were proud of what was going on with these students being there at the Logan Center. So I just want to throw up our support in regards to the proposal that we have before the city. We would certainly hope that you would look favorably toward it. We want to work with the neighborhood association. We want to work with the people in the area, whatever it might be. But we have had a lot of very, very positive responses to the young people and the pride that it brings, additional pride that it brings to the area. Thank you.
Any questions for Reverend Ratliff?
One question, Reverend. Now, did I understand that you're actually a paid staff person, that you're the executive director for the school?
That is correct. I'm the executive director of the school.
So that's a paid position then?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a quick question? What's the overall budget for the school?
Ms. Hurley, you want to present the board?
First year, it was around 100,000. Second year, around 150. This year, it's up over 200,000. And that includes, we provide lunches for our students, even students that would get.
Reverend, you want to let her speak into the.
I'm sorry. It's going to be 200,000 to 210,000 for 50 students, which is about 4 a student, and that's because we do an awful lot of work with volunteer help, and we have 4 paid staff, 3 teachers and an administrator, and then we have some people that are almost full-time volunteers. But we're about half of what it costs the public school to educate, simply because we have our parents come, they help, they.
Are you accredited as a school?
We are legal through the state of Iowa. Accreditation takes about, if you were to start tomorrow, it would take about 3 years. And so we have not pursued that. We operate under the Iowa Code. Yeah, we are accredited by the Association of Christian Schools International, and we operate under the Iowa Code of homeschool and non-accredited private schools. Okay. And so we submit paperwork to the Department of Education every year. We are under certified teachers, state certified teachers, and that's how we work very closely with the Des Moines Public School offices to submit all of our
homeschooling
immunization
kinda.
and all those kinds of things.
In my professional job, I subscribe to a service that monitors nonprofits. Have you guys submitted your 990s? That's the nonprofit tax form. Have you? I know you're a nonprofit and your bylaws say that you do, but do you know if you're in compliance with that?
Yeah,
It's like-
we actually just recently, we have our 501c3, and then we had not gotten the paperwork from them on our C3 status, so we have our attorney, Craig Shannon, working with them to make sure that that is current.
Okay.
Because we were not aware of like a yearly, because basically they're making sure you're still alive. It's not like you pay taxes, but that wasn't getting to us. So recently we've got some information from them, and we're working with them to make sure that we hand in all that paperwork. But I think that's a continuing.
So just to follow up on that then, so your budget, you said $200,000 plus, you actually go out and fundraise to cover that?
Right.
Based upon the fact that the students clearly would not be able to pay the $5,000?
Yeah, most schools, private schools are 90% tuition, 10% donations. When you create an urban school, you almost have to turn that upside down. We pattern ourselves after Hope Academy in Minneapolis, who's been in existence for 12 years. So what we did is we turned it upside down, and our parents contribute 10 to 15% of the overall tuition, and then we fundraise for the other under nonprofit, as a nonprofit.
You have a question over here?
Yeah.
Mr. Mahaffey?
More or less some comments rather than a question, because I have visited with Chris a couple of times, I guess, and also I've visited with Odell Jenkins, and it goes back a few years. I don't remember Odell. We had the meeting over there, and I think that both these programs has a lot of merit to them, and I think that they both need to be considered. I think we've got to go back to the neighborhoods. The neighborhood has not been involved in this yet, and it needs to go back, and we need to get whatever input the neighborhoods have. But I think either of these projects would be great, just a matter of how they raise the funds and how much funds they can raise and how they can go forward with their programs. So that'd be my comments on this. It's
Is that a
very
motion?
positive.
Is that a motion or?
If we're ready for motion, I'll make one.
But why don't we still have discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to echo what Bob said. I've heard good things about JCA over the past, I think, 3 years that you've been in existence. And I find it encouraging that we had some speakers earlier talking about naming rights for a Peace Plaza and how naming something would see an ends met. But I think this is actually the means to that end. They're in communities that need this sort of structure, and they're providing it in those neighborhoods. So I would be very supportive of pursuing this with the assumption that they go to the neighborhood and get their blessing and so forth. But I would gladly support whatever Bob's motion may be to send this to the city manager to consider.
And a comment on the neighborhood. We have, when we were pursuing Wallace, we had met with both of those neighborhood associations that were close by. And there hasn't been a meeting before. And we have a phone call in to the president, I think, that Mel King Neighborhood Association. I haven't been able to meet with that, but we met with Capitol Hill and Union Park, met with both of them, went to their meetings. That's a key thing, because we hope to work together. I mean, it's all an improvement of the neighborhood and making it something that they can all be proud
So
of. Yeah.
I think that the point here is that we would follow up and give them your current plan and tell them what you have in mind. Skip.
After hearing Chris's comments about the interior of the Wallace building school, I'm sure none of us want to see that building empty, because it's going to be left open for vandals to get in and destroy it. I did ask the question this morning if this had been in front of the neighborhood, and the answer was no. I think it's extremely important this go there, but I think it's also important that Odell's proposal go there also. And I would like to ask the manager to provide us with a copy of Odell's proposal for the building also, so we know what's on the table with this. And one thing I will say, Odell, is, when I lived in the neighborhood, I've been very vocal because they split that neighborhood up when they closed that school, and we all know it. And right inside that front door is a huge plaque with a lot of names on it from the original priority board. And if that school were closed or torn down, it'd be a disgrace to the remembrance of those people. I moved in a block from Adams grade school, and with all luck, 6 years later, they decided to close Adams. And I will say that the Holtz came forward and bought the Adams school. They're rebuilding the inside. It's going to be a Christian school, and I just thank the good Lord every day that they bought that, because the alternative was the building was going to be demolished and probably multifamily units built in there. But I'd hope that maybe the two of you could get together and work something out together, because I think there's plenty of space in that building. But regardless, hopefully one of you will end up with it, and we'll have a fine program in there. And I'll support Bob's motion on this.
And Chris did talk with the neighborhoods, because the neighborhoods had contacted me and asked me to support it because they would like to have something in there similar to this too, and they had very positive comments to make about the Webster. But I would, if we're ready for motion, I'd move that we receive and file the reports, both Odell's and Mrs. Hurley's, and that the city manager work with both of them and to consider each of their offers and the programs they have to offer to the neighborhoods, and to go forward with this the best we can for the benefit of the entire neighborhood.
Okay, we have a motion. One other, is Doug Roming out there somewhere? I see Doug.
Yep.
Doug, one quick question. Your needs for your property, how many square feet do you need? 30,000, did you say?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Doug Romig, Housing Services Director. I believe when we're looking at our operational needs just for the Housing Department and Community Action Agency, plus the Job Training Center, which was part of the funding requirements from HUD, we were looking at a minimum of about 30 to 35,000 square feet.
Okay. I think just, I'd like to include in there that we just continue on at least looking at that Logan Center, notwithstanding what's going to happen with these two as it's analyzed, but this building's about 31,000 square feet. And I think that, Doug, it would be at least a good idea for us to at least get sort of some of the final numbers on what your thoughts are, what it would take to use that building for your purposes as well, since we already own it, and we don't have to put $4 or $5 million into it to make it suitable. Just thought.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, if I could, just to connect all the things together, we can do that, and we'll continue to look at this building for the purposes of housing services. But recall your very first action tonight was to look at feasibility, architectural work on the building you've been looking at up on 6th Avenue. So we'll do that work, and we'll also look at the Logan property, as you just suggested, Mr.
Well,
Wright.
I think his needs are clear. I just think that we have to look at all the options and put them all on the table, and then we can make a reasonable decision based upon all that. And I do realize that that's exactly what we did with that other motion. So moving forward on the analysis of that building, but I would suggest maybe take a look at this one as well.
I would like to add to do this as soon as possible, because they're going to have to start making plans for their fall.
Exactly right.
Right. So.
7 yes.
All right, item 58, alternative motions regarding the proposed rezoning at 1241 East 38th Street, requested by Arnold DeWitt, Council Communication number 12-228. This item has been before us on numerous occasions, and I think Mr. DeWitt's in the audience this evening. Would you like to step forward and quickly tell us what your current ideas are?
Mr. Mayor and Council, my name's Arnold DeWitt. I live at 1642 Lakeview Drive in Pleasant Hill. And I'm not sure that I understand the motion to the alternative, but we're wanting now to move forward with the zoning process and go to the second reading on the next council agenda. And I had some reservations about whether or not I could get the tax abatement program to work out in my favor, and I've thus come to the conclusion that I think I can, so I want to go ahead and move forward.
Okay. Is everybody clear what we're doing here?
Yeah, yep. I'm glad to see this willingness to go forward. I've talked with Mr. Duett a few times on this, and I think it's going to be a nice project to add to the east side over there off East University. And you're going to have some discussion, but at one point in time, then I would be gladly to make a motion on this.
Any discussion?
So the motion is to approve the second reading, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I would look at C for a motion.
Okay.
To move forward and look at next council meeting for a second reading.
Excellent.
So are we making the second reading, or are we moving to address that at the next meeting?
The second reading will come back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that's what we had to do legally.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Will we have the option to waive the third reading if possible?
Yes.
Okay.
And the second reading?
It might feel like it would be nice.
I would prefer that we wouldn't do that, but.
Okay.
But I want to also acknowledge the staff time and efforts they've put together to work with Mr. DeWitt, and they've been a very good group to work with, and if it hadn't been for their efforts, I don't think we'd be going forward.
7-0?
7 yes.
All right. We have one extra item that was put on the agenda. After the deadline, it's approving an agreement with Maceridge Southridge Mall LLC and Southridge Adjacent LLC for the redevelopment and repurposing of Southridge Mall at Southeast 14th Street and East Army Post Road. Council Communication number 12-233. Mr. Manager, do you quickly want to highlight this one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll recall that at a prior meeting you gave preliminary approval of this project to provide benefit for the Southridge Mall expansion. The staff and Scott McMurray and a bunch of other people, legal department in particular, have worked very hard, I think even over this past weekend, to get this final agreement drafted and before you this evening. I've been assured that the provisions of this agreement are consistent with what you approved in your preliminary agreement, and I'm pleased on behalf of the staff to recommend it to you this evening.
Any questions?
I just would like to say a few things. One, I'd like to thank Maceridge, obviously, Rita, all the staff that worked very hard on this. Do you want to give an update, Scott, or hey, Rita? Anybody want to give an update on anything?
I'd be happy to answer any questions. Scott McMurray, Midwest Realty. I'm the local developer for Maceridge on the Southridge Mall project. The only update I would make is if you haven't driven by it, drive by it. There's a lot of
activity,
things being torn down right now, and hopefully what springs out new is fantastic. And I would echo the compliments of the staff. We worked very hard over the last several days, and I think we have an agreement that hopefully works for everybody.
Scott, thanks.
You bet.
I think we went up right up to the wire, so I'll move extra item 1.
I'm happy to see the accommodation for DART in there.
Yeah.
7 yes.
All right. Could somebody give me a motion to adjourn the City Council and reconvene as Board of Health? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Item passes. Item 2 is approving the engineering department to proceed with a structural removal to abate the public nuisance at 3509 57th Street. It's a main structure. Is there anyone here to speak on this? We have a speaker.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, Joanne Hanover, 1406 Merle Hay Road. Mostly I have questions. How long does this take after it's accepted by the council? That house is a total mess. It literally falling apart. Did you look at the pictures today? It's worse if you see it in person. We had people approach us at our last neighborhood association meeting complaining about it.
Right, maybe an answer by staff.
Oh, hi.
How are you? Mayor and Council, Steve Gunson, Community Development. First of all, this is essentially an emergency action we're taking this time rather than go through a lengthy court process. We're just ordering this to be torn down as soon as possible. Engineering would have to schedule it up. Our paperwork would go over right away. I'd guess in a month. That's not a promise, but I would guess that. I agree totally with Joanne. That's the front of the house is falling off, basically. It's amazing. So this is, again, is emergency action on our part rather than go through court. We do it administratively, and that speeds the process up considerably.
Well, give us some sort of an idea. How quickly would this take place, do you think?
Well, again, it would go over to engineering right away. It's however soon they could schedule it in, Mayor. We can certainly find out from engineering and get a call back to Joanne to let her know.
That sounds like a real public nuisance
It is,
and danger.
absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Steve, don't you have quite a few on the list, though? I've got some I've been waiting a year for.
Yeah, we do, Mr. Mahaffey, but this one, again, rises to the level of an emergency, basically. It's something that's going to take an immediate
front
action,
falling
correct?
off the house?
Sir?
Front is falling?
Yes,
off
I
the
have
house?
pictures if you'd like to look.
Well, in the photo that's in the
Yeah,
assessor's page is dated 2005, and it looks awfully bad in
Did
2005,
it?
so 7 years, I can imagine what it.
Yeah.
But I agree with Bob. I think there's a lot of other properties that need to be moved on sooner rather than later.
I think I got some comparable ones that need to be addressed, too.
All right. Anybody have a motion?
I will go ahead and move item 1, unless you had any other questions, Joanne.
Yep, thank you, Jim.
Probably it's item 2, but
That item.
all right. The motion is to approve engineering department to proceed.
7 yes.
Can we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? We said adjourn. Thank you all for attending.
Back to the numbers.